What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Do me a favor, hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. And as well, new Patreon exclusive videos coming this weekend, including an exclusive with my guy Charleston White. Either this weekend or the beginning of next week, I'm dropping it as a Patreon exclusive for all of my people, and then when it gets released to the public, it just gets released to the public. So I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you. It seems like every coaching call that I get on, and even a casual conversation with somebody I hadn't talked to in a while, but they tapped in and they were like, Anton, what do you think about this whole student loan thing? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and then I'm going to give you some advice, okay? I was completely wrong. I never believed, even in a million years, that student loans would ever, in any way, shape, or form, be anything outside of pausing it and then kicking the can down the road and passing blame and saying, no, Congress should do it, no, the president should do it, no, Congress should do it, no, the president should do it. Because earlier in President Biden's election cycle, when he actually became the president of the United States, he said, listen, I got the power to do it, but I don't really want to do it, and I want to push it over to Congress. All right? And then, even before that, he wasn't really the one that was advocating dealing with student loans. It was Elizabeth Warren and it was Bernie Sanders, who both of them, I think, are absolutely trash, man. Neither one of them should ever be president of the United States. Both of them are too old, so I don't think we got to worry about that. But then at the same time, again, they were the ones that were advocating against cancellation of student loans, and Bernie Sanders was advocating for fining airline companies, even though they are notoriously unprofitable and they go through consolidation cycles, and the first thing that goes whenever the economy goes, whether it's the 2008 recession or the pandemic, travel, dead, which they are heavily affected. And even though we're in a capitalistic society, why would you try to fine the airline companies more than what they make on a flight for their inability to be able to find workers from a manufactured recession that you guys implemented? But neither here nor there. I never thought in a million years that Biden would do it, but he acquiesced and started adopting these policies in order to get the nomination. And then, in my opinion, he embraced hopefully buying votes and buying an election by making sure that he dealt with this student loan thing. And so the details of the student loan loosely are basically, if you got a federal loan, then you can be forgiven if you make under $125,000 as an individual, or $250,000 as a couple. One of the benefits of being married. But you don't get that for private loans, right? You don't get that from banks. Anything that you did for student loans that's outside of federal loans is unaffected. But then again, you have to stay under a specific threshold. But here's the caveat, right? And then this is the advice or the content that I really want to pass on to you guys based off of conversations that I was having for people that tapped in with me. Here's the caveat. The thing that I was seeing largely on Twitter, different articles, and even up and down certain feeds, because I am in certain groups and I pay attention to certain things, because I want to see what the pulse of what people really feel like is going on out here, is people are falling right back into the exact same thing that got them in there in the first place, which means that you're not actually solving the problem. You're buying votes to the tune of $300 to $500 billion, and you're allowing people to continue to run in the Victim Olympics, and you're giving them a fish on something that they were self-inflicted, so they chose to do this, but you're giving them a fish instead of teaching them how to eat and teaching them how to fish for themselves. And it is dumb. It is stupid. It is going to continue to add to the federal deficit. It is going to continue to contribute towards inflation. And nobody knows anybody that's going to pay for it, because anytime you ask anybody who's going to pay for it, they're going to say the same people that pay for the military and the same people that pay for the bailouts. But that's not an answer. It's not an answer. It's just more empty rhetoric in order to justify pookie behavior from people that are taking out these egregious, whack basket weaving degrees with no way to pay for them. Go to college, they party, they have a good time. Cool. Get buzzed down, rack up their body count. Shout out to my ladies. Women are the most enrolled and the most educated, but for some reason making less. But we don't actually take that into consideration when we're trying to evaluate how to solve for a problem. And it's not to give a handout. If you're trying to solve for a problem, you don't put a Band-Aid over somebody that just got their neck cut. You try to solve for the solution. Hey, who out here carrying knives? And why are we allowing them to have a knife in the first place? AKA, why are we allowing you to even take out a federal loan for a liberal arts degree? And continue, way different conversation. But the thing that I tell people, and a lot of people are saying, Anton, I hustled, I bust my butt, and I'm grinding it, and I paid off my stuff early, and you know, I make a decent amount of money. I'm finally starting to hit the wave, and now I gotta be raised taxes. Because let's be clear, the middle class are the ones that's gonna pay for this. One way or another, it always comes back to the middle class. Anton, I've been grinding, I've been hustling, and now I'm probably gonna have to make sure that I pay for people that's running in the Victim Olympics. And these people is talking about now they can breathe easier, now they can work less, now they can take vacations, now they can go to graduate school and do even more and rack up even more student loans. Why should I be the one that have to pay for it? And to that I say, my friend, here's the thing, and this is the difference between rich people and poor people, between an abundance mindset and a duress mindset. The difference is this, hear me clearly. People that run in the Victim Olympics, it does not matter how many handouts that you give them. The thing that makes the most difference is your mentality, and people that move in abundance will always be the most successful, always have. And if you took all of the wealth today and you divided it up amongst everybody, the majority of people will still be running in the Victim Olympics, and the wealth will go back exactly the way that it is, slowly but surely, maybe even faster than you think. My point is that you should never even worry about the fact that, and I'm just identifying it because I talk about the money and it always comes back to the money, but you should never worry about the fact that they are running in the Victim Olympics. You do what you got to do. You grind, you hustle, you make the investments, because let's be clear, they gave them a fish. You know how to fish. You have learned life lessons that allow for you to never ever be running in the Victim Olympics, especially if you're running with me, especially if you're part of the Bag Chasers. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. For those of you that want to roll with the Bag Chasers, that's in the Patreon. If you need a personal coaching call because you tired of running in the Victim Olympics and you actually want to level up, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com and I can get you scheduled for a Zoom call or a personal call, but we gonna get you fixed. But my point is that when you moving in an abundance, you don't even fucking worry about no $10,000. $10,000 for me won't even move the needle. That's like putting 50 cents in my gas tank, maybe even less. It won't even move the needle, not even a little bit. I never got a STEMI check. I'm not fucking worried about a STEMI check. I laughed at people that were fighting for STEMI checks because if I have the time to have to go and fight for a STEMI check, that means that I'm not pouring the most and all of my energy into being the best version of myself, which is exactly what a bag chaser is. A bag chaser is not a person that chases money. A bag chaser is the person that's chasing being the best version of themselves. They utilize their calendar effectively. They making sure that they build up their network. They actually working the hours instead of just fumbling the bag and playing games all day. And they pouring into themselves and they actually looking for the information on how they can become the better version of themselves, which then allows for them to be able to be a better version of themselves for you. And they get all of the money and all of the success and all of the successful marriages and everything that comes along with it. You understand that seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. That same principle applies to every aspect of your life. Chase growth. Don't chase happiness. Stop looking for handouts. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. And we ain't even got to be having this conversation at all. Not even a little bit. Greatness comes to those that are not burying their head in the sand, looking for handouts from other people. Oh, no, man, nothing. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Get off that titty and think about it. This is the very way in which they married individuals to the government in the first place, which is the main reason why people vote Democrat or is not conservative, is that they've married you to the government, they've married you to handouts, and now you always got your handout in order to justify you getting somebody in office, and then that person in office becomes a reflection of your values, which then degrade society. And that's why the middle class is going away, is because there's going to be haves and have-nots. You're going to have to decide whether you want to hand out and be with the dusties, because I've always believed that if the majority of people is getting it, then I don't want it, because I want to be above it. I want to be better than that. It don't mean that you're a better human being, but it means that you are better. You are above handouts because you're actually doing the thing that's in your best interest and not waiting on somebody to give you something. And so to all of the people that is complaining or is whining about the possibility of everybody else getting their stuff forgiven while you did the right thing, keep doing the right thing, because ultimately those are the people that are winners in society. Those are the people that determine what happens, and those are the people that wind up employing other people that look to them for a handout versus being the one on the receiving end. Always be a giver. Pour into people first. We givers. We not receivers. We're the ones that move the needle. We're not looking to be in no victim Olympics with nobody else. I don't want to be associated with the people that think like that. If you getting it, if you able to get it, right? It doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes a lot of people misinformed as to them determining whether or not they're going to vote for somebody based off of whether or not they can get a handout. And that's the honest to God truth. Never look to be the ones that are the least in society. Always look to be the ones that are doing the most, because ultimately they're going to find themselves right back in that same situation if they're doing it just for that reason. All right, I love you. I appreciate you. Again, the link to the Patreon is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. If you need to kick it with me personally, you know how to get in touch with me. Anton Daniels 413@gmail.com. Man, let's continue to run this fucking check up. Forget all of that. We ain't worried about that. No more talk about it. No more dusty conversations. I will say that Biden did deliver on what it is that he said he was going to do. He did the Build Back Better plan, the infrastructure budget. He got the... I don't necessarily agree with his policies, but I will say that he is a deliverer. All right, this dude is getting a lot done based off of what he said that he wanted to do. So, again, shout out to everybody that's out there. Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.